Hey guys, but Austin Ramos, and man, did the Miami Dolphins come out and perform in Madrid? They didn't perform well. They didn't perform bad either. They just found a way to win the football game, and you know it's tough because the way I see this season going, uh, it's gonna end so close. Dolphins are gonna be in the wild card hunt, just be right outside looking in. And let's be real, this is not a Super Bowl contending team. This is not a Super Bowl run worthy team. So I really hope they don't go on this win streak that they're possibly going to go on. I don't really see it happening, and I don't really want it to happen, to be quite frank. But I'm happy with this win in Madrid. Uh, we flew all the way out here. We traveled here to watch this game. So uh, a win's a win, and you got to be happy with it. And it's fun to see it. At some point early on, you'll see it come out in the vlog. But we were calling it football because they were only kicking field goals in that first half. They went into halftime tied at 6, and then finally we got some touchdowns in this game. Both teams scored in the second half. Washington in the third quarter, Dolphins in the fourth, and then it came down to another kick. So it started with football, ended with football in Real Madrid Stadium. So yes, the Miami Dolphins won 13-16 in overtime, and it was quite a resilient win, but also a very knuckleheaded win because this Dolphins team could have won the game at so many points, as you'll see in the highlight. Going for it on fourth down twice on the 1 yard line. First one was a incomplete pass to Waddle where Waddle couldn't reel it in. I would put that one more on Waddle. Still play calling was not the best. And then on the second one, you go for it on third down with Von Hn. Clock's running down in the final 2 minutes. You are putting yourself in position to run out this clock and win the game. Unfortunately, Hn got injured on the play, so Dolphins had to burn an injury timeout, stopping the clock within the final 2 minutes when you were going to, at worst, kick a field goal with almost a minute left and send the Commanders having to go down the field to either kick a field goal or score a touchdown. Then they go for it on fourth down and don't get it. And the Commanders go down the field, go to kick the game-winning field goal. Luckily miss. Dolphins got lucky with Tressway missing two field goals in this one because the Dolphins easily could have lost the game. Things would have been different, though, had it been the fact that if the Dolphins, would have scored or so on and so forth. Anyways, let's talk about some team sets. We're going to do the highlight, and then we will go into the box score and then talk over the keys to victory and how the Dolphins achieved it or not. All right, let's start with the team stats. So the Dolphins had 19 first downs to the Commanders 22. Commanders were 6 of 13 on third down. Dolphins were 3 of 9. Dolphins were playing ahead of the chains most of the game. When they were getting first downs, they were getting them within the first or second down. Didn't get to third down a lot, but when they did, they struggled, and we'll talk more about that later. Fourth down efficiency, Commanders went 1 of 2. Dolphins went 0 for 2. Dolphins had 54 plays of offense. The Commanders had 64. Let's go down to red zone. Commanders were 0 for 3 in the red zone, and the Dolphins were 1 of 5. If that kind of shows you what kind of football team this was today. Had enough to get down the field, get the distance, and could not get their way into the end zone. You can credit to Dan Quinn taking over the defensive play calling, bend but don't break type of defense, but man, they really let this one slip away quick. Luckily, we're able to bring it back in and get the win. Let's talk about the Commanders' penalties. 6 penalties for 31 total yards. Dolphins had 4 penalties for 39 total yards. Commanders had 2 fumbles, 2 turnovers. One was a fumble off the punt, and then the other one was interception in overtime. And that would prove to be the difference in terms of the Dolphins, edging them out for a win. That was one of the keys to victory is play clean football. Don't turn over the ball, force turnovers. The Dolphins were able to force turnovers, getting them the win. All right, let's talk about time of possession. Commanders had the ball for 32 minutes, 36 seconds. Dolphins had it for 29 minutes and 51 seconds. Pretty even game across the board in terms of, pretty much it felt like anything you can do, I'll do. The Dolphins started out with the football, went all the way down to the goal line. We're about to go for it on fourth down. Got a penalty against them, ended up settling for a field goal. Commanders did the same exact thing. So it just felt really, really like a tit for tat type of game. So, luckily the Dolphins were able to force that interception in overtime and, go down the field and kick the game-winning field goal. Now, let's go into the highlight. Full disclosure, I don't own the rights to any of this, so if NFL or YouTube wants to take it off, more than welcome to. If there's any weird jumps, you will notice them. I'm sorry in advance if that's the case. Luckily, it hasn't happened this year, but knock on wood. All right, let's start this one. First game in Real Madrid. First Spain game for the NFL, and it was quite the sight to behold. We'll start on the defensive side of the ball with Terrell Dodson. Sacks Marcus Mariota, making the Commanders settle for a field goal where Tressway would miss his first of 2 missed field goals in this one. Now, in the second half, Deebo Samuel gets some blockers downfield and finds his way into the end zone for a long touchdown. Just the way Deebo plays ball. But how about this one? Waddle, you got to reel that one in. I understand Wagner is there and playing good defense, but it is what it is. Following Dolphins possession, Ollie Gordon would power his way into the end zone, do a little bit of salsa dancing. He's feeling that Espanol. Now, 4th and goal for the Commanders. Zach Ertz kind of slips when he's trying to go across the goal line. Marcus Mariota can't believe it. And then Dolphins do nothing with the following drive, but they go to punt it, and Sanders still muffs it. Blame the lights in the stadium, saying, it's not really regulated NFL lighting. Buddy, the lighting was good. Anyways, Dolphins take control of the ball, and Devon Achane breaks out a huge, huge run, but oh no, he went out of bounds. Dolphins would go for it on 4th down, and Ollie Gordon would get stuffed at the goal line. This is the type of stuff that really, really grinded my gears inside the stadium, and I'm pretty sure Mike McDaniel kind of felt the same way. Dan Quinn can't believe it. His defense really stepping up to play after he calls in the play calling. The Commanders get a chance to go down the field, but no, Tressway misses his second field goal kick of the game. And then in the Commanders' first drive in overtime, Jack Jones picks off Marcus Mariota and sets up the Dolphins for a game-winning drive down the field for a field goal. He hits a C in Real Madrid. How about this? Riley Patterson kicks the Dolphin into a W for the 4th time this season, where the Dolphins improved to 4-7. Jack Jones loves it. How about Mike McDaniel and Dan Quinn, 2 former coaches that used to work together. It's good to see those guys meeting up at midfield, and quite the storyline, those two and their history together. If you don't know about it, Mike McDaniel used to be a alcoholic and was pretty much booted out of the NFL because of it. And he was brought along back into the fold, into the Atlanta Falcons team with Kyle Shanahan, Dan Quinn, all them boys when they went on that Super Bowl run. So he was part of a pretty historic team there. And, Dan Quinn was very close to bringing him back into the fold in terms of, helping him recover and be a solid guy in terms of the coaching stuff. So cool connection between those two guys. Let's talk about some of the box score stats in terms of individual players. Marcus Mariota went 20 of 30 for 213 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 interception, was sacked once for a loss of 6 yards. Tua, on the other hand, went 14 of 20, not a great day, 171 yards, no touchdowns, no interceptions, sacked 3 times for a loss of 29 yards, and each and every one of those sacks was just very boneheaded and just you broke out of a sack, just get rid of the football. Oh, you just turned into this guy. So many boneheaded plays by Tua there on those sacks that really could have been avoided and really could have kept drives alive. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case, and he went down. Dolphins gave up a lot of yardage on the ground, though, 172 overall, and 79 of those went to Chris Rodriguez. Following that, Marcus Mariota went 4 of 49, but he broke out a big 44-yarder, so we're able to contain Marcus Mariota except for that big run. Let's talk about Bill, Ja'Cory Merritt. He went 9 of 28, and Jeremy Nichols, not so much. 4 carries for 13 yards. Now for the Miami Dolphins, they had 169 yards on the ground, and Devon Achane had 120 of them. So big game out of Devon Achane once again. He had that big carry for 23 yards. That set the Dolphins up on the goal line in the fourth quarter with 2 minutes left to go. Unfortunately, went out of bounds, and that's where kind of things got a little dicey there. He tried, legging out as much as he could, tried maybe to get in the end zone. And the Commanders DB said, "No, you're going out of bounds, buddy." Ollie Gordon, not so bad day for him either. 9 carries for 45 yards and a touchdown. He had a long of 20 yards. That was pretty much when the Dolphins were backed up in their own end zone. Jalen Wright pitched in with 1 carry for 4 yards. Commanders had 213 yards in the air. 74 of those went to Deebo Samuel off of 7 receptions. He also had a long 28-yard touchdown. Moving on, Zach Ertz, 4 receptions for 42 yards. Chris Moore, 2 receptions for 28. And Jacoby Jones, 1 reception for 25 total yards. A couple other guys, but no one eclipsed 16 yards outside of those guys. Now for the Miami Dolphins, pretty concise group of guys got into the receiving game, but we can go through them all. Dolphins had 171 yards passing, receiving, and 3 of those receptions went to the Jalen Waddle, 52 total yards. Devon Achane, 5 receptions for 45. Malik Washington, 3 receptions for 42. Greg Dulcich, 2 receptions for 18. And Julian Hill, 1 reception for 14. So let's talk about fumbles. Mike Sanderson had 1 fumble that he lost. Ethan Bonner recovered it on special teams. And then interceptions, Jack Jones forced an interception on Marcus Mariota in overtime for return for 7 yards and hit the C there in the Bernabeu. All right, let's talk about defense. Bobby Wagner, 8 total tackles, 4 solo. He led the Washington Commanders. Also had 1 pass deflection. Then we go down to Jeremy Reeves, 7 total, 5 solo. And then some key stats. Jonathan Jones had 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, and QB hit. Eddie Goldman had 2 tackles for a loss. Preston Smith had a tackle for a loss. Jacob Martin had a sack, tackle for a loss, and a QB hit. Same for Von Miller. And that's about it for the key stats for the Washington Commanders. For the Miami Dolphins, Jordan Brooks had 20 total tackles, 10 solo. Following him was Terrell Dodson with 11 total, 3 solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for a loss, and 1 QB hit. Following that, we also have Minkah Fitzpatrick with 2 tackles for a loss, and a QB hit. And then Bradley Chubb had 2 QB hits. Jason Marshall Jr. had a pass deflection. Benito Jones had a tackle for a loss. Jordan Phillips as well. And then Jack Jones had a pass deflection. And Chop Robinson had a QB hit. Outside of that, let's talk about some punts. Punting returns. Sanders still had 1. And Jeremy Lane had 1. Neither were returned for any yardage. Malik Washington had a return for 3 yards. Kicking, Matt Gay went 2 for 4 on field goals, longest of 30, 1 for 1 on the extra points. Riley Patterson went 3 for 3 on field goals and 1 for 1 on extra points, longest of 46 for Patterson there. Punting, Tressway had 1 punt for 41 total yards, and Jake Bailey had 2 punts for 106 yards. 1 was in the 20, longest of 55. Now, those are all the stats for this game. Whew. It was a cool win, History was made. The Dolphins got the first ever NFL win in Spain, in Madrid. So, cool, historic moment for this Dolphins team. But now they're 4-7. And what does that leave this Miami Dolphins team? Well, it leaves them in quite the spot. They're going to go into the bye. Long awaited bye, week 12 bye. It's, pretty crazy. But it is what it is. Then you go on and you play the Saints, Jets, Steelers, Bengals, Buccaneers, Patriots to close out the year. Saints is a very winnable game. Jets is a very winnable game. Steelers is a game that could possibly be won. Bengals may still be on Sunday Night Football. We'll see. It's still up in the air. It hasn't been moved yet, and who knows. But Joe Burrow may be back for that one. So let's see what type of Bengals team we will be playing by then. Buccaneers, tough team. They went 2-0 with the Bills this week and unfortunately came out on the wrong side of it. And then last but not least, New England Patriots, who are leading the division and leading, I want to say, the entire NFL in terms of standings, X, Y, and Z, because they've been having themselves a ball this year. 9-2 in the year, top dog in the entire NFL. So who knows? Aside of those last 3 games, you have very winnable games. We may be seeing a 7-7 Dolphins team heading into that Bengals matchup, which, oh man, I don't know what to say about this team. I love it. I love to see it. I love seeing a winning product, but this is not a winning team. This is not a team that's going to go on and win a Super Bowl. That's just my food for thought on that one. All right, last thing. Let's talk about the keys to victory and how the Dolphins achieved it. First and foremost, get pressure on Marcus Mariota. I think they got pressure on him. They contained him. Yeah, he broke contain a good amount, and he broke him for that big run. So I would say a fail on that one. But they did put pressure on him, and, when it mattered the most, they were able to dial up that pressure, get it in his head, make him force an errant throw, and Jack Jones gets the game-sealing interception. So, big-time moment there for the Miami Dolphins defense, right? So 50-50 on that one. I would put it more so in terms of overall game, failed. But when it mattered most, came in the clutch. Offensively, Brandon, that dang ball, Devon Achane had 120 yards on the ground. He was running good. I mean, every time it seemed like Devon Achane touched the ball. There was one time I was recording for the vlog, and I was recording the play. Looked like he was dead to rights. They were going to get him. And then he breaks it off and, able to, move the chains on the one. So there was key moments in this game that Devon Achane really stepped up and performed well. And he's obviously each and every week becoming the better and better, the best player on this Miami Dolphins team. Arguably one of the best running backs in the NFL. So 120-yard day, check. Did really good. Ran in for a touchdown for Ollie Gordon. So Dolphins ran the ball efficiently. Tua, man, I really don't know what's the deal with him. I hope he can reassess some things in this bye week and, turn it up as a player. I understand you don't have Tyreek. The passing game's been a little funky this season. You have Darren Waller in and out of lineup. It's tough. But I really don't know what this guy, a lot of times he's been more of a negative than a positive this season. That's been unfortunate. All right, and then last but not least, turnover battle. Miami Dolphins won the turnover battle, forced 2 turnovers. The punt late in the fourth quarter, that was a muffed punt. And then last but not least, a game-winning interception by Jack Jones. A couple weeks back against the Carolina Panthers, I was ready for the Miami Dolphins to drop Jack Jones. And, this week he comes up clutch and gets us to win. So, any given Sunday, Man, it was an awesome experience there in Madrid. Dolphins found a way to get a win and send a lot of their fans home happy. So I will be happy on the way home tomorrow. But yeah, man, really fun time here in Madrid and historic moment. Dolphins got their first win ever in Spain as an NFL team. So one in the history books. Outside of that, let's see what the future holds for this Miami Dolphins team. I, for one, am not hoping for too many wins. I have seen enough. This team is good. It can compete. It will be in any given game, but they're not winners. They have struggled to find a way to get wins this season, each and every week. And now it looks like they're turning a new leaf, dominate the Bills, get a gritty win against the Washington Commanders. And the crowd there was pretty good. It was pretty split. Outside of, the off-color fans who weren't necessarily fans from either team traveling in for the game, it was pretty split. It was a good crowd, but primarily Miami Dolphin fans. So still kind of a home game there, but still good neutral site win. Gotta find ways to get more wins early on in the season. The first stretch starting 0-3, Colts, Bills, Patriots, Bills. Tough losses. Outside of the Colts one, close loss to the Patriots, close loss to the Bills, close loss to the Panthers, close loss to the Chargers. You have 3 blowout losses, and every other game was a close one. So, blowout win against the Falcons and blowout win against the Bills. So, give and take. The season's been something for this Miami Dolphins team. Hopefully, they find some way to make it worthwhile because they have another mid-year. They're going to have a mid-draft pick, and things won't be so well. So let's see what this Dolphins team does moving forward. But hey, great win in Madrid. It was a very fun time. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace out.